The Galactic Council chamber shimmered above the dying star system, filled with delegates from countless alien species. Humans stood at the center, calm yet alert. Admiral Heijin and Diplomat Mira represented Earth, their faces set with determination. The Council had summoned them to discuss peace, but the air was thick with tension. The aliens spoke in loud, commanding tones, each trying to assert dominance over the humans. Their eyes, or whatever counted as eyes, seemed to judge and underestimate humanity. Heijin remained silent, letting Mira speak, though every word from the Council seemed to carry hidden threats. Some delegates openly mocked Earth's technology and size, assuming humans were weak and insignificant. The humans listened carefully, making notes and assessing every word. Heijin knew this was a test, not just of words, but of human patience and strength. The humans did not panic, though deep inside, they were calculating their next steps. They had learned to survive against greater forces before and were prepared to do it again. Mira's voice remained calm, responding politely but firmly to every accusation. The Council murmured among themselves, puzzled by humanity's composure. No other species had stood so silently against their authority. Heijin observed the alien leaders, noticing their subtle signs of irritation and fear. Humans may have seemed small, but they were unpredictable, and that unpredictability was their strength. The Council decided to deliver an ultimatum, demanding Earth surrender certain resources and territories. The room fell silent as humans considered their response. Heijin felt a surge of pride, knowing that Earth's fleet was ready, that their warships waited quietly in orbit, waiting for the signal to act. The Council did not know humans' full capabilities. They thought diplomacy alone would bend humanity to their will. But humans were not easily intimidated. Mira, with careful words, reminded the Council that negotiation was possible only if respect was mutual. Some alien delegates laughed, dismissing her words. Others frowned, realizing their mistake. Heijin stepped forward, his presence commanding attention. His voice was calm, yet firm, carrying authority that even the aliens could not ignore. He spoke of Earth's history, of humans surviving wars and disasters, of their capacity to grow stronger in adversity. The Council listened, some with disbelief, others with cautious respect. As the conversation progressed, minor insults were exchanged. Delegates questioned Earth's military strength and strategy. Heijin did not rise to their bait, but Mira carefully countered each accusation with logic and evidence. It was clear humans would not be coerced. Outside, human fleets remained in orbit, ready for any escalation. Their warships were equipped with advanced technology, combining human ingenuity with captured alien devices. Engineers worked quietly, ensuring that every system was operational. Soldiers prepared for the possibility of combat, knowing the stakes were high. Back in the chamber, the Council debated whether humans would truly resist. Their intelligence reports had underestimated humanity repeatedly. Each skirmish humans had survived had taught them lessons the aliens ignored. The Council's confidence wavered as they realized humans might not be negotiable, but formidable. A distant signal reached Heijin's communicator. It was from a remote human fleet, hidden beyond detection. They were ready, waiting for the order that would change the balance in the galaxy. Heijin did not act yet, but he felt the power of the human race waiting silently, like a storm about to break. Mira noticed the change in atmosphere. Alien delegates seemed nervous now, whispering to each other, unsure of what humans might do next. Heijin finally stood, signaling the end of the discussion. Humans were leaving. The Council gasped, realizing that the humans had withdrawn from talks without conceding. It was a bold move, unexpected and dangerous. Fear rippled through the chamber. No one had imagined humans would leave so calmly, without hesitation, without begging for mercy. Heijin and Mira turned toward the exit, moving with quiet confidence. Outside, human fleets awaited orders, engines humming softly in the dark expanse of space. Every soldier and officer knew what this meant. Earth was preparing to defend itself, to show the galaxy that humans were not to be underestimated. As the council watched the humans depart, uncertainty spread among their ranks. The room that once felt controlled and powerful now trembled under the weight of human defiance. Messages were sent to all corners of the galaxy. Intelligence ships scanned for movement, attempting to predict Earth's next action. Heijin and Mireille returned to their ship, where strategy sessions awaited. The council could no longer assume humans were weak. The galaxy had shifted in subtle but undeniable ways. Humans had withdrawn from talks, yes, but they had not retreated. Their withdrawal was a statement, a warning to all that underestimated them. Heijin stood on the command bridge, looking out at the countless warships orbiting Earth. He knew the council was watching, calculating, unsure of what humans might do next. He allowed himself a small smile, for humanity's strength was not in the size of their fleets alone, but in their courage, intelligence, and unity. Mireille approached, quietly confirming the readiness of every ship, every crew. They were prepared for what might come, for the galaxy's fear to be tested in the days ahead. As humans left the council chamber behind, the stars seemed to shiver. Not because humans were leaving, but because they were about to show the galaxy the full measure of their power. Humans returned to Earth orbit after leaving the council chamber. The planet below was calm, but in space, human warships were mobilizing. Fleet commanders moved quickly, overseeing preparations. Admiral Heijin walked through the flagship Daehan, observing the readiness of every crew member. The warships, from massive ironclads to agile assault vessels, were equipped with the latest human technology, combined with alien devices recovered in earlier conflicts. Soldiers checked their weapons and armor, while engineers worked on the engines and energy shields. Mireille coordinated communications with other ships, ensuring that every message reached its destination. The council had no idea how prepared humans were. Humans had been ready for years, quietly building their strength and learning from every encounter with alien forces. The fleets waited silently, hidden behind distant asteroid belts, their presence almost invisible to alien intelligence. Heijin gathered his officers in the command room, laying out potential strategies. They studied the galaxy map, marking important council systems, supply lines, and enemy patrol routes. Each officer offered suggestions, and Heijin listened carefully, weighing each plan. He valued creativity and boldness, understanding that humans succeeded by thinking differently than their opponents. Mireille spoke of diplomacy, but even she knew that words alone would not win this conflict. Sometimes action had to follow words to command respect. Outside, the human fleet engines thrummed softly, ready to accelerate at any moment. Scouts reported minor alien movements, small patrols attempting to detect Earth's preparations. Heijin allowed them to continue, knowing that the aliens still underestimated humans. The humans had learned that enemies were strongest when overconfident. In the control room, officers studied holographic images of alien warships. Humans had analyzed every design, every weakness. Engineers explained new energy shields that could resist alien plasma weapons and new propulsion systems that allowed ships to move unpredictably. The crew listened intently, understanding that every advantage counted. In the sleeping quarters, soldiers prepared for the possibility of long battles. They wrote messages to loved ones, packed personal items, and checked their gear. Though fear was present, it was paired with determination. Humans had survived worse, and they would survive again. Heijin walked to the observation deck, gazing at Earth below. Its blue oceans and green continents reminded him why humans fought. Mireille joined him, placing a reassuring hand on his shoulder. They did not need words. Both understood the weight of responsibility and the courage required. Suddenly, a signal arrived from a hidden fleet far beyond known patrol routes. It reported readiness and awaited command. Heijin studied the message carefully. The hidden fleet was a crucial part of the strategy, designed to strike unexpected targets and disrupt alien supply lines. He nodded to Mireille, knowing it was time to put their plans into motion. In the alien council chambers, news of human mobilization caused panic. Their intelligence had failed to detect the full extent of Earth's readiness. Some delegates argued for immediate attack, believing it was now or never. Others suggested negotiation, fearing that any action could provoke a disaster. Heijin and Mireille ignored the panic. Their focus was on coordination, timing, and precision. They divided the fleet into groups: assault teams for key installations, defense teams to protect Earth, and reconnaissance teams to monitor alien movements. Each team knew its role and practiced maneuvers repeatedly. Simulations predicted outcomes, but humans were prepared to adapt in real time. Weeks of training and preparation were coming together now. The first target was an outer rim supply station that supplied most of the Council fleets in the sector. Heijin and his officers calculated the most efficient routes, avoiding detection and maximizing surprise. Mireille coordinated with intelligence officers, ensuring that every detail was accounted for. The humans would strike swiftly and disappear before the Council could respond effectively. On the bridge of the Daehan, Heijin issued the order. The fleet engines roared to life, propelling them toward the outer rim. Ships moved in perfect formation, a silent but deadly river of metal and energy. Scouts confirmed that the alien station remained unaware of the approach. Humans waited for the precise moment. Then, without warning, the fleet attacked. Explosions lit the darkness of space, illuminating the human ships. Energy beams tore through enemy defenses, and boarding teams prepared to land on the station. Alien forces scrambled to respond, but their numbers were insufficient, and their strategy was slow. Heijin and Mireille watched calmly, knowing this was only the beginning. The human attack was calculated, precise, and effective. Minimal losses occurred among humans, while alien defenses were devastated. Communications from the station were chaotic, filled with panic and disbelief. The Council realized that humans were far more dangerous than they had anticipated. The news spread quickly across nearby systems, sending shockwaves through the alien hierarchy. Human fleets moved to secondary targets, striking supply convoys and patrol ships, leaving confusion and disruption in their wake. Each move was carefully planned, but humans were also flexible, responding to unexpected threats with ingenuity. Soldiers aboard the ships adapted, using their training and intuition to overcome obstacles. On Earth, civilians watched communications reports, amazed at humanity's capabilities. Engineers and scientists continued to develop new technologies, preparing for whatever the Council might attempt next. Morale was high, humans believed in their strength and unity. The Council's panic grew. They had assumed humans were bluffing, that leaving the talks had been a sign of weakness. Now they understood their error. Humans were not only ready, they were formidable, capable of challenging the most powerful fleets in the galaxy. Heijin allowed himself a small smile. The first wave had been successful, demonstrating humanity's reach and precision. Mireille reported status updates, confirming that all teams had completed their objectives with minimal casualties. The humans had shown strategy, courage, and cooperation, sending a clear message to the galaxy. The Council had underestimated them, and it would cost them. As the fleet returned to orbit for repairs and resupply, humans reflected on their success. They had proven that Earth was not to be ignored, that humans could think, fight, and survive against overwhelming odds. Heijin and Mireille discussed next steps, planning larger operations and long-term strategies. Their confidence grew with each success. The galaxy had witnessed the first signs of humanity's might. Soon, all would know that humans were not a species to underestimate, and that withdrawing from talks had been only the first act in a story of courage, ingenuity, and unstoppable determination. The first human attack on the Council supply station had been a success, but Admiral Heijin knew this was only the beginning. The fleet regrouped in the shadows of a distant asteroid belt, engines humming quietly, ready for the next strike. Mireille coordinated messages between the scattered ships, ensuring that every captain understood their roles. The Council fleets were on alert now, trying to anticipate human movements, but humans had one advantage: they were unpredictable. Scouts reported the positions of alien warships patrolling nearby sectors. Heijin analyzed the data carefully. He decided on a direct strike against a heavily armed outpost that protected the Council's main supply line. The warships moved in formation, weaving between asteroid fields and hiding in gravity wells to avoid detection. Soldiers prepared boarding equipment and energy weapons, while engineers ran final checks on the shields and propulsion systems. Every human knew that the next battle would be difficult, but they were confident. Their training and planning had prepared them for this moment. As the fleet approached the outpost, Heijin gave the order to engage. Energy beams lit up the darkness, and explosions rocked the alien structures. Boarding teams landed on the outpost, quickly disabling weapons and communications. The aliens were caught off guard, and their response was slow. Heijin observed the battle from the Daehan, issuing orders with calm precision. Miare relayed updates from boarding teams and scouts, ensuring that every move was coordinated. Human warships moved to cover vulnerable points, intercepting enemy reinforcements before they could reach the outpost. The Council fleets tried to organize a counterattack, but their movements were clumsy compared to the humans' strategic coordination. A squadron led by Captain Daesu took a detour behind enemy lines, cutting off supply ships and creating chaos in the Council ranks. Soldiers on the Daehan celebrated small victories, cheering when enemy installations were neutralized with minimal casualties. Engineers worked tirelessly to repair minor damage, knowing that every moment counted. On the ground and in orbit, humans displayed teamwork and adaptability. They used unconventional strategies, exploiting weaknesses that alien intelligence had ignored. Every move demonstrated that humans did not follow predictable patterns. The Council, monitoring the battle, began to realize their mistake. They had assumed humans were impulsive and unskilled, but these attacks were calculated and effective. Panic spread among the alien officers as they received reports of destroyed stations and crippled supply convoys. Heijin remained focused, issuing orders to maximize the effectiveness of the attack. Miare coordinated messages to other fleets, encouraging synchronized strikes across different systems. The humans knew that momentum was on their side, and they would not let it slip. In the midst of battle, Lieutenant Sumin led a boarding team to the outpost's main command center. They disabled energy barriers and neutralized security systems, allowing the human forces to take control. Alien officers surrendered, shocked by the efficiency of the attack. The humans secured valuable intelligence, including battle plans and fleet movements. This information would guide future operations, giving humanity an even greater advantage. While some ships returned to orbit to regroup, others pressed forward, striking secondary targets to create confusion and weaken the Council's response. Heijin and Miare analyzed each action, adjusting plans in real time. The Council tried to retaliate with a powerful warship, a heavily armed cruiser meant to dominate any engagement. Heijin expected this move and prepared a trap. Using decoys and diversionary tactics, the humans drew the warship into a vulnerable position. Explosions erupted as energy weapons struck critical systems, and boarding teams disabled the cruiser from within. The alien crew was overwhelmed by the combination of strategic planning and human daring. News of these victories spread across the galaxy, leaving many species in shock. Reports described humans as intelligent, adaptable, and fearless, capable of striking precisely where and when they chose. Heijin allowed a moment of pride, acknowledging the skill and courage of his fleet. Miare reminded him that the war was far from over. Humans had demonstrated their strength, but the Council would regroup and counterattack. Preparation and vigilance remained essential. Back on Earth, civilians monitored transmissions from the fleet, amazed at the scale and effectiveness of human operations. Engineers and scientists continued to work, developing new technology to maintain their advantage. Each victory bolstered morale, reinforcing the belief that humans could survive and thrive against any adversary. Meanwhile, the Council began to debate strategies. Some members called for negotiation, fearing further losses. Others demanded immediate retaliation, hoping to crush the humans before they grew stronger. Disagreements slowed their response, giving humanity more opportunities to act. Heijin reviewed reports from all active fleets, noting the efficiency of human tactics and the failures of alien intelligence. Miare coordinated with communication officers to ensure that every action was supported by real-time updates and precise orders. The humans were not just attacking, they were sending a clear message. Humans could fight with intelligence, courage, and coordination. Alien species had underestimated them, and now they faced the consequences. As night fell across Earth, the fleet continued its operations, striking additional supply lines and patrol ships. Every success increased humanity's reputation and weakened the Council's confidence. Heijin stood on the observation deck of the Daehan, looking at the stars and considering the battles to come. Mireille joined him, sharing her calculations for future operations. The humans had achieved remarkable victories, but they remained vigilant. The galaxy had begun to recognize Earth not as a minor planet, but as a powerful force capable of challenging the Council. Heijin allowed himself a small smile, knowing that this was only the beginning. Humans had proven their strength in the first major battles, demonstrating that their courage, intelligence, and unity could overcome even the most powerful adversaries. The Council fleets were now aware of a new reality. Humanity was no longer negotiable. They were a force to be reckoned with, ready to strike with precision and determination across the galaxy. The galaxy was on edge. News of human victories spread quickly, and fear began to ripple through the Council's ranks. Humans had struck with precision and efficiency, showing not only courage but intelligence and adaptability. Earth's fleet had grown in reputation, and the Council scrambled to organize a proper response. Admiral Heijin and Mireille knew that the next phase would be decisive. Humans had proven their strength, but the Council would not remain idle. The fleet gathered in orbit around a distant star, where strategic planning and coordination took priority. Heijin reviewed reports from the first strikes, analyzing alien fleet movements, supply routes, and command centers. Mireille coordinated communication across all ships, ensuring that updates were shared in real time. Every officer understood their mission, and every soldier knew the importance of teamwork. In a quiet briefing room, Heijin outlined plans for multiple simultaneous attacks on Council positions. Assault teams would strike supply depots, defense units would protect critical human installations, and reconnaissance teams would monitor enemy movements. Each team had been trained for months, and the humans executed their roles flawlessly. Scouts reported enemy patrols attempting to intercept the human fleet, but Heijin anticipated these movements. Using asteroid fields and gravitational anomalies for cover, the fleet moved with stealth and precision. Soldiers prepared for boarding operations, while engineers ensured that the ship's shields and weapons were at maximum capacity. Captain Desu led a strike team toward a heavily fortified Council station. Using unconventional tactics, his team bypassed primary defenses, disabling communications and energy barriers. Alien officers were overwhelmed by the unexpected moves, unable to coordinate a proper defense. The humans pressed forward, striking multiple targets in quick succession. Heijin and Mireille observed from the command bridge of the Daehan, issuing orders calmly and efficiently. Human warships moved in synchrony, covering each other's flanks and exploiting gaps in the alien formations. On board smaller ships, soldiers marveled at their training being applied successfully. They executed maneuvers and boarding procedures that had only been simulations before, now tested in real combat. Alien fleets attempted a counterattack, sending heavily armed cruisers to engage the humans. Heijin anticipated their movements and set a trap. Using decoys and diversions, human ships lured the enemy cruisers into vulnerable positions. Energy beams struck critical systems, and boarding teams disabled the ships from within. The aliens were caught off guard, their confidence shaken by human efficiency and ingenuity. On the surface of key stations, human boarding teams neutralized alien defenses, taking control of command centers and supply lines. Soldiers worked together seamlessly, using simple communication and clear strategies to overcome obstacles. The Council struggled to respond, debating between negotiation and retaliation. Their indecision gave humans an even greater advantage, allowing the fleet to maintain momentum. Heijin and Mireille coordinated with remote units, ensuring that supply lines remained secure and reinforcements were ready. Every aspect of the operation was covered, leaving little room for mistakes. Back on Earth, civilians followed updates from the fleet, inspired by humanity's courage and unity. Engineers developed new technologies to support ongoing operations, preparing for any surprises the Council might attempt. Morale was high, and a sense of pride spread across the population. As battles continued across multiple systems, human forces demonstrated their ability to adapt in real time. When unexpected challenges arose, soldiers and officers found creative solutions, exploiting weaknesses that alien intelligence had failed to notice. Captain Sumin led a team to secure a vital energy station, ensuring that human fleets had the power needed for sustained combat. The aliens struggled to predict human strategy, constantly reacting to maneuvers that seemed unpredictable yet were carefully calculated. Heijin observed the unfolding events, knowing that the human reputation was growing with each victory. Miare confirmed that all communication lines were operational, keeping the fleet informed and synchronized. The Council's warships began to retreat, realizing that humans had mastered both offense and defense. Smaller patrols tried to delay the human advance, but their efforts were largely ineffective. The humans pressed forward, taking control of strategic positions and disrupting alien supply chains. Reports of human efficiency and daring spread rapidly, instilling fear and uncertainty across alien territories. Soldiers aboard the Daehan and other vessels knew they were making history, participating in battles that would be remembered for generations. Heijin allowed himself a moment of pride, acknowledging the courage and skill of his fleet. Miare reminded him that vigilance was still required, as the Council would regroup and attempt a counteroffensive. The humans maintained momentum, securing multiple victories while minimizing casualties. Engineers repaired minor damage, and scientists prepared upgrades for energy shields and weapon systems. Communication officers ensured that all information flowed smoothly between ships, maintaining coordination and effectiveness. In orbit above Earth, the fleet rested briefly, readying for the next series of strikes. Heijin and Miare reviewed the outcomes of recent engagements, planning future operations with even greater precision. The humans had shown the galaxy that they were formidable, unpredictable, and intelligent. Alien species began to realize that underestimating humans had been a critical error. The fleet prepared for larger engagements, knowing that the decisive battles were approaching. Heijin looked out at the stars, understanding the weight of responsibility and the importance of continued unity and focus. Miare stood beside him, confident in the fleet's capability to meet any challenge. The galaxy had witnessed the rise of a new power. Humans had proven their strength not only through sheer force but through strategy, courage, and collaboration. The Council could no longer ignore them, and the stars themselves seemed to tremble at the potential of humanity. The fleet prepared for the next stage, knowing that each success strengthened Earth's position and reputation. Heijin and Miare coordinated the final details for upcoming operations, confident that the human race would continue to surprise the galaxy with their ingenuity, determination, and unwavering courage. With every move, humans demonstrated that they were not a species to underestimate, and the Council began to realize that their dominance in the galaxy was no longer guaranteed. The final confrontation approached. The Council had gathered their strongest warships, including the flagship known for its unmatched firepower and defenses. Humans, led by Admiral Heijin and Miare, prepared for the decisive battle. Every fleet commander knew that this engagement would determine the balance of power in the galaxy. Human ships moved into formation, shields glowing softly, engines ready for sudden bursts of speed. Soldiers checked their weapons one last time, boarding teams practiced maneuvers, and engineers ran final diagnostics on energy systems and weapons. The Council fleet appeared on sensors, massive and imposing, confident in their power. Heijin studied the data, noting patterns and weaknesses in the enemy formations. Miare relayed communication updates, ensuring every captain and officer received instructions in real time. The humans were calm, focused, and prepared. The battle began with long-range energy exchanges. The Council flagship fired massive plasma beams, aiming to destroy human vessels before they could get close. Human shields absorbed the attacks and counterfire targeted weak points in the enemy fleet. Captain Desu led a strike team through a gap in the enemy formation, avoiding the heaviest fire. Their mission was to reach the flagship and disable its command systems. Explosions lit up space, debris floated in the void, and alarms rang across every ship. Despite the Council's expectations, human tactics were precise and unpredictable. Boarding teams launched from multiple ships, attaching to the flagship and infiltrating critical areas. Lieutenant Sumin led her team through maintenance tunnels, neutralizing alien forces and taking control of weapons systems. Soldiers moved quickly and efficiently, using every advantage they had learned through months of training. The Council was stunned. Their flagship, considered unstoppable, was being systematically disabled from within. Heijin and Miare coordinated strikes across the battlefield, combining fleet maneuvers with boarding actions. Alien warships tried to respond, but human strategy and coordination made them ineffective. Communications from the Council were chaotic, filled with confusion and panic. On the command bridge of the Daehan, Heijin observed the unfolding chaos. His officers reported successes and minor damages, all managed effectively. Miare relayed intelligence from captured Council ships, giving humans insight into enemy plans and movements. The humans pressed their advantage, striking supply ships and secondary vessels, cutting off reinforcements and creating disorder. Soldiers aboard human ships moved with precision, executing maneuvers that alien officers could not anticipate. Every victory strengthened morale, and humans gained confidence as the battle progressed. Back on Earth, civilians followed updates, inspired by the bravery and skill of their fleet. Scientists and engineers worked tirelessly to provide technological support and upgrades, ensuring continued effectiveness. The Council flagship struggled to maintain control. Human boarding teams disabled its main weapons and command systems, forcing it to retreat. The alien officers realized they had underestimated humans at every step. Heijin issued a final set of orders to consolidate control of the battlefield. Remaining Council ships attempted to regroup, but human forces anticipated their movements, cutting them off and neutralizing the threat systematically. Energy shields flared and weapons fired with precision, leaving no room for error. Soldiers and officers aboard the human ships knew that history was being written through their actions. After hours of relentless engagement, the Council fleet was in disarray. The humans had secured critical positions, demonstrated their capability to strike decisively, and sent a clear warning to the galaxy. Humanity was not to be underestimated. Heijin allowed himself a moment of satisfaction. The fleet had performed flawlessly, showing courage, intelligence, and unity. Miare confirmed that all communications were secure, and that human ships had minimal damage, ready for any final maneuvers. In a final gesture, Heijin authorized messages to the remaining Council forces, declaring that humans sought peace but would respond with unstoppable force if threatened. The message spread across systems, reaching every corner of the galaxy. Alien species, witnessing the defeat of the Council flagship and their disorganized retreat, began to respect humanity. The balance of power had shifted, and humans had emerged as a formidable force. Soldiers aboard ships celebrated quietly, proud of their achievements. Engineers and scientists continued to enhance systems, ensuring readiness for future challenges. Heijin and Miare stood together on the command bridge, observing the stars and contemplating the impact of humanity's actions. They understood the responsibility that came with power, but also the importance of demonstrating strength and unity. Across the galaxy, the story of humans' courage, intelligence, and determination spread. It became clear that Earth was no longer a minor planet, but a force capable of defending itself and shaping galactic events. Heijin and Miare prepared reports and analyses, planning for continued operations and diplomacy. The humans had proven that strategy, bravery, and teamwork could overcome even the most powerful adversaries. The stars themselves seemed to witness the rise of a new power, one that the galaxy would never again underestimate. Humanity had withdrawn from talks, faced overwhelming odds, and emerged victorious. The Council had learned a vital lesson. Underestimating humans was a mistake that could not be repeated. As the fleet returned to Earth orbit, ready for repairs and reflection, Every human on board felt a shared sense of pride and accomplishment. They had changed the galaxy's perception of Earth, showing that unity, courage, and ingenuity could achieve what others considered impossible. Jean and Mira looked at the planet below, knowing that the story of humanity's strength and determination would be remembered for generations, a testament to what humans could achieve when they stood together against any threat.